aids like the oral constitution. Uh, I have zero idea
You're breaking up a little bit. Is it just me?
what that would look like.
I think I get the gist of what you were saying, um, but you were breaking up pretty bad. Is it bad for you?
Probably not. Yeah, it's bad for us too.
Shit.
Yeah. Yeah, it's bad for everyone. It's going to be bad for
Oh,
everyone. Go
oh no,
ahead.
you're clearing up. You're clearing up a little bit
If
now.
it's better now, just let me know.
No, you're clearing up a little bit now. You're clearing up a little bit. Check one, two, three for us, maybe.
What? What? Check one, two, three. Check one, two, three.
Yeah, you're good. You're good. You're good. Yeah, you're clear now. You're clear now. You were saying that if it
Yeah.
should be included, um, just to be clear, you said I wasn't clear in what you said. Um, uh,
If it was like the concept itself, if you want to like include the concept itself of assisted like automations instead of if that's what you meant, yes, absolutely. This is like the driving factor around like every development. Um, if it's something around like a specific technical implementation, um, we can. I have zero idea about that. Like something that would assist like the oral constitution.
yeah. No. It wasn't the latter. It was the former. Because what we can do is develop our own symbolism around some of these core concepts like this. And whether it's some of the things that Juliet was speaking to, some of the system design things I was speaking to, or some of the general concepts that you use to guide what are ultimately some of the structural implementations of advocates, and the technology there, and the automation there, and we can have something that speaks to this too, symbolism that speaks to that concept, and it's a way to then engender that dialogue and discussion beyond just us, and then also build it into our collective values of any, which become important for any time in the future when there's a needed position on any of our advocates' processes. That particular concept will come back up into discussion and be a valuable guide, hopefully, right? And so that's the idea. So yeah, thank you kindly for giving us a little bit on that. And I know some folks haven't have heard how important that is to some of your design thinking before. And so yeah, but thank you kindly, Hans. We have right when you left, we were speaking on the importance of mapping, right, which is something that I've taken from some of Hero's contributions over the weeks. And Hero, I don't know if you want to speak to this a little bit more so than I was, speaking to how important mapping can be for long-term dynamics.
I mean, yeah, definitely. Um, I think maybe there are different interpretation on what mapping is, but I will just give my take on what my interpretation of what mapping is. And I think the mapping came out of that um, data visuals of different things flowing and stuff like that. So at the time, it was something um, wanting to show the project management of things, and also I think Ryder had a chart of some sort. So the way I interpreted was is basically like how could we map out our commons, our people, our resources? Because, for example, like we have the Akva's journey, and what kind of skills or personality traits are there in the Stacks Advocate that we can visually be able to map out and see. Of course, we know on a personal level, we know roughly, um, and maybe that mapping you can see, what kind of skills, maybe people's intrinsic values, a little bit like the chart you had when you interviewed people. I just thought, like, if we're able to map out what our actual comments visually, um, I think that could be, helpful in terms of if something comes up, say a new journey, like, oh, Julia can jump in that visual and say, oh, we actually got these people who can help with a new journeyer's idea, or anybody is able to look at our stacks advocates comment visually on a map, and be able to um, yeah appreciate what all the good things we have in here.
Yeah.
Here,
No, thank you.
let me take that, Harold. Because I had a few ideas around that. I'm glad that you had that thing, and I'd like to have like a conversation with you too. So I'd appreciate it if you unmute and we could talk about this like back and forth thing. So I've been thinking about this in terms of like so what we can do actually is um, say that or have a transparent pool of money and a transparent pool of time. We can have that. The money, of course, it can be represented in a contract and an account. Doesn't matter. But the time is like we're actually discovering what people can do, what people are willing to do. We can go beyond that and just like say that the resources around like the knowledge and the skills in these time slots are different kind of slots that can be taken and put into like a container or like through consumption. Shit, is my voice coming in clear? Because I doubt.
No, it is.
Okay, sorry, because my ping was like 2,000. Scary. Anyway, so that's the way I've been thinking about Hero. This idea that with the pool of STX or whatever that we can have, that can be its own conversation, its own thing. But the pool of resources, the pool of commons, the pool of upskilling, that can be something absolutely different in terms of people actually coming and like offering what they can do, what skills they have, and the visualization here comes where people will actually post that they can do that and they're available at some point in time. So that is like one way of doing that. What do you think?
I think Haas was
Oh, you're talking to me. I thought you were talking to Harold.
No, that everything was just about you, dude.
Oh,
You're the start. You're the story.
So yeah, so you okay, so you said the commons of resource. Yeah, so going off what you said, yeah, you could have say Jabali, you know, is visually represented on in this pool of resources, and maybe on there he would you it would say like he is into hands-on practical stuff, ready for testing. So whenever you want to test stuff, hopefully you're able to get that from the map easily. Um, and he can look at the map on what other people need help with, or um, I guess, and he can jump in maybe. And is that Aman replying you, right?
Stay unmuted, hero. Stay unmuted. Um, so this is definitely going to be a conversation, and I think it's like it's almost like an airdrop of sorts. The the airdrop here being that people are offering up their time, are offering up their knowledge, um, and here's the trick. There's this can get extrinsic like so fast, and I think where the advocates pool and journeys come in. The 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 advocates pool can stay as is. People report on the things that they help other people with, and thus receive credit, and so on. So it's something that is uh, something that is unique in the sex ecosystem is retroactive rewards in advocacy. This does not exist. This is illegal, almost illegal in grants. If you post a grant and you say that you have done such and such, even if it's like brought in like 100,000 people to stacks and this does not exist. Retroactive rewards does not exist in advocacy. It does, and that opens up the door for also journeys. So when you have this pool of resources and people actually motivated to say that they want to do that, and they're going to require the organization skills of X and the development skills of Y, and X and Y actually agree to work on something like that and actually are passionate about that idea, then we get into journeys. That I think is a nice way to put it. This might relate to the conversation that we had yesterday about like journeys going back to something that is more compatibilist or compatible with the grants program. But it's almost the same thing, because once you can visualize or can see what people can offer, and ability, and their actual, if this the system can be closed up for advocates, you can pick and choose and communicate and have these conversations that then turn into a journey, or just a different thing, maybe, or prompts. What do you think?
Yeah, yeah, I can see it. I just can't picture the execution, but I can see I can kind of visually model it in my head. So, for example, you have some people with graphic skills. So, if that person is able to be visibly seen by others, that person has graphic skill and is willing, then somebody else can pick that up. Almost like people can go there to find a team, or find a partner, or find a somebody to collaborate with, who is available. And actually, when I went into that Harold's data meeting last Friday, it kind of touched on that. Like they are not sure how to manage people's expectations if they volunteers and stuff like that. Um, but yeah, I think if if everybody's skill set or availability is made clearer, that can help people to collaborate with each other and develop a journey from that potentially.
Yes. God damn it. Even unmuting is slow for me. It's fucked up. Anyway, yes, and you know, the implementation. We can do something new. We can create something new, like or use something simple like Trello or whatever. Project management board bullshit. It doesn't really matter. The visualization of such thing. We have this board that includes like all advocates or whatever, and they can create these you know um, tasks that it's not tasks, but it's like, hey, I can do this. Graphic design or whatever, I can do that. And the grouping or the project, can be a cell in itself, or it can even be a little bit more complicated, and you see the the resources that are available and the resources that are taken in two columns, and the people who are going to work together, who are unavailable, can have their own board. So this is like this can utilize like some existing tools, basically. And the flexibility that we have, and the consent based governance that we have, not just consensus, but consent, allows us to respectfully actually have like an organized like resources and comments available like in such format without like having. Yeah, you get it, right?
I'll take this room as an example, right? Let's just make it a little bit more practical. So, for example, we are all in this common together. Like Jabali should be able to say, I want. So he would assign different, for example, in Disco, they call it roles, right? You could assign different skills to Jabali. So, Jabali's skills could be education or um, um, like hands tester, for example. But so the way I visualize it right now in my head is each person would have many tags to him, and that each tag represents.
Conflict resolution specialist. Sorry.
Yeah, could be. Yeah, exactly. At the moment, we don't have any. I cannot tell by going to Stacks Advocate who are the conflict resolution specialists right now. I don't even know who are in the Bear clans exactly unless I dig deep, which I know, but how can Doc or Jabali know without knowing where to go? So it's making that information easier and more visually represent. Oh, doesn't have to be visually, but at least represented somewhere easier. And also, I think about like, for example, tying back to the intrinsic value. We simply ask each person in this room, what like that person could say what I want to do, what he would like want to do. And say, for example, the dog would be like, I want to be an educator in this space. Jabali could be like, I want to be um, participating in
Conflict resolution
uh,
specialist.
indigenous stuff. He's into big time into indigenous, stuff, like a little bit like
And
Arab.
conflict resolution.
Yeah. And Julia is into like legal stuff, and I'm into like I don't know what. But Merrick is into the also the Longhouse indigenous stuff. So each person would say would know intrinsically what they want to do, and they would be asked to post what I want to do, or what I think I want to do, or what I think I can contribute. But I'm trying to tie it back to intrinsic motivation to say, okay, I want to do this in Stacks Advocate, and have that represented for each person. Um, and when we go into this space and look at Stacks Advocates, oh, these are the people, the resources, and their intrinsic motivation or what they would like to do. How can we facilitate their journey to make that happen? I don't know. What does Doc think? Or Jabali?
Sorry, just brought the kids out of the house for a minute. Figured it'd get them kind of off my back for a second, and but I'll probably stay on mute. I'm just listening. So intrinsically, I'm kind of like, I really am not a fan of that word. I'm just letting you guys know. Hold on. 1 second. So
What do you enjoy doing without pay? Even so, even if you didn't have, even if you weren't paid, but you still love doing it. So it's the same question, really.
So it normally, honestly, deals with like animals, and it deals with photography, videography, that sort of stuff. Honestly, spending time with my family, I don't get paid for that. I enjoy doing it. But I like connecting with people and stuff like that.
Yeah, and what I'm saying is to have what you like, enjoy doing, more visibly available to other people, this information, because people who are not in this meeting didn't hear about you talk about that, they wouldn't know. So is there a method that we can improve this access to information about you? That's what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah, and I know that's I keep forgetting the name of that paper. It's the Figma doc. I know that's what the Figma doc was trying to do, but a lot of the terminology and not wanting to look stupid while editing was my like problem with it. I just wasn't fully understanding it. So
I'm with you, Hero. I feel you. And Doc, you just said something that got me. If we got paid to spend time with our family, we would be in such a different fucking world. If we got paid to actually raise healthy families, fuck, man, how do we get that shit to happen? That'd be good. I think all this makes perfect sense, and the idea, I put it in here, like networking skills board, makes perfect sense. So here I'm with you, and what it looks like rolling out, I don't know. And I'll add, guinea pig to the testing, guinea pig, like to my profile, like whatever the fuck it is, but it makes perfect sense.
Yeah, so that's my my lengthy reply to Harold's question about mapping. So yeah, maybe Harold can speak to that. Maybe.
No, yeah, no. And thank you, Harley Haas, for trying to bring some potential implementations to address some of this. The reason why I was bringing up in the chat fridges, I guess it's a recent project that where, correct me if I'm wrong, how's it'll allow for some connection to signatures in profile type of context, right? Like in terms of NFTs in a profile context, um, that could potentially be useful in uh, mapping advocates in terms of how far they are into advocates, but also maybe there's some overlap here with what you guys are discussing in terms of having something readily accessible or visible that is speaking to the things Haas named, and and of course I think Haas even spoke to some of those intrinsic um, uh, inventories, right, so to speak, that Hero and Doc are correct, and it was a big fundamental aspect of the Figma doc that maybe this is just a refining of some of those same concepts on that Figma doc, and so yeah, I. The original question was in the context of code of conduct concepts that we may want to include in our oral recitations, and I think mapping is too surface level of a word, and we got a little bit deeper into through what Haas broke down, what Hero broke down, what Doc broke down, into what it seems like it is at Jabali, which is how important it is for us to have points of access, points of autonomous access to upskilling, right? This is a big part of some of Merrick's initial contributions to advocates. Maybe Merrick wants to speak to some of this as well, has some ideas in mind from thinking about this for some time now. But this concept of upskilling is no joke when it comes to transformative potential and horizontal upskilling that is autonomous, right? Folks being able to train themselves at their own pace, so to speak, in respective areas in the space can be a beautiful thing. And so, naming that in the code of conduct, I think, would be a potential heavy concept to lean into, depending on how people feel here, or if we want to continue dialogue around that. But I like where the conversation went to get into some practical amelioration of some of the things that were spoken to earlier in terms of points of access. But yeah, how's you mentioned these and much to Hero's point of clarity about what the actual user experience looks like, or the user interface looks like. You're speaking, I think, to some technical concepts that spoke to what we're trying to achieve. But does any of what I mentioned about Friedrich's efforts and the profiles and NFTs, you find that how that can be relevant anyway in some of the way that I just mentioned?
Sorry, Harold. I totally zoned out. I'm sorry. Could you give like a summary?
Yeah. So for clarity, how would you describe Friedrich's recent NFT profile efforts?
I have not seen it. I've been trying to Google it and I can't find anything like that I'll tell you.
Okay.
Previous, if I'm, oh no, that's Marvin's. Oh, I don't know. Actually, I can't remember. Sorry. I he's about authentication or
Mm-hmm.
identity. I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's tying together NFTs and this, right? Like for like a profile like effect. It is like
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I can't remember though. I'll look it up.
Yeah. Well, maybe we can get a hold of him directly, possibly even as well.
Authentication protocol.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Yes.
Harold,
No. No.
No relevance.
Harold, did you
No.
say
No.
you want to type
I,
back
I have to
mapping?
look at it first.
Sorry,
What happened?
Harold, did you say you want to tie mapping to code of conduct? Was that one of your points?
Yeah, but like I said, I think mapping was a little bit too much of a surface level language. I think as you guys continue to talk it out, it becomes more obvious that what it is really at the meat of that, or the essence of that concept that we speak to often in these sessions throughout the months, is the autonomous accessibility to upskilling.
Yeah, that's definitely part of it, I guess. Yeah.
And the horizontality there. And I think that's to a lot of what Haas was trying to speak to technically, and what you were speaking to in mapping. And I think there's other aspects to mapping beyond that, but maybe it can be broken up right in between important accessibility to upskilling, and also it's also huge for being able to track alignment, right? And things like this. So maybe this is something we think a little bit on, and get back to, unless you guys want to speak to it today. But I know we're jumping around a little bit in between, like some brainstorming around technical implementations and brainstorming around oral code of conduct implementation. And so just to focus in a little bit better for Haas and yourself here. Haas, it sounds like you found the repo or a reading of some kind. Does it sound relevant at all? Did you say? I couldn't hear you clear.
Yeah, I found it. I think it was. I think Freaker was trying to revive what the Blockstack profile was doing. Back then, the Blockstack browser. So it's definitely relevant, but I think we can. This is still in a draft, and I think we can like with the implementation that I proposed. Yeah, it's just like a simple board that anybody can access and offer like their skills or take or connect with people to have a conversation around like their a particular possible journey or something. But I think I might actually rely on Hero's idea. I think it's even better, like having actual Discord roles for these different skills, and like just using Discord. So that's possible thing to do. The visualization, however, like around available resources and unavailable resources and that kind of thing. It can be easy still because communication with people can just like, hey, I'm sorry, I'm just unavailable right now, or like we can have a unavailable for journeys like role that is people can turn on and off. So I think it's a more integrated like solution. If that's like the thing that you would like to see here, and I hope that I'm representing like your idea clearly.
think my comments was more based on Harold's comment on mapping, and I think he used to refer to the morphology of stuff, like the evolution of maybe what are peoples and stuff, and it so I just think in general it is hard to track, say, what human resources or assets we have around in Stacks. Like, who are the developers in Stacks Advocates? If I don't even use indigenous language, I just say, okay, so who are the people with photography skills? Maybe they can do some photography for people if we need that skill. So how do we map that out? So Doc happens to be able to, and maybe Kaylee, somebody who has that skill, and how do we better represent all the human resources and assets we have in this Stacks Advocate? Um, because the more we know, hopefully, it is easier for us to collaborate and help each other and know who to go to for what. For example, I know Haz is good at technical upscaling. He can help me set up or build some stuff. Um, but a new person, if he's able to, a new person comes in Stacks Advocate, Jabali doesn't know Haz, but can through a a method be able to visually see that. So everybody in Stacks Advocate can can visually know what are the resources in this common. Uh, is what I'm trying to aim for. Uh, and Merrick helped me with setting up OBS. I'm now some sort of OBS recorder, and I kind of know how to get that set up roughly. So these type of skills um, represented, communicated, mapped out, so to speak, I guess.
How do we take stock of our shelves and make what we have to offer available so when people need things, they just come and take what they want? And that thing can be like upskilling,
Are you
which is good.
okay? I wasn't quite sure. It sounds like extractive.
Sorry.
Not in an extractive way, but yeah, like resourceful, helping each other way. I guess that's what I'm
Yeah, I said it with very like plain monotone language. I'm sorry, I was like deep in a thought.
But like Drew, he has this friend spot, right? And I know he wants everybody to. I think Julia also a while ago touched on this briefly. Like, how do you own your identification? Like, I'm not saying like Disco Rose is necessarily the best vehicle. It's an easy one to do for sure. But can this skill be? Can my skill be also visually represented in another Discord or in another server? Sorry, you can port it around Stacks ecosystem. So you own your reputation almost. So your reputation is there. You carry it with you. Um, it's a little bit like your LinkedIn profile in some way, but not as business like, but more like from a perspective of the commons. Am I making sense?
Yeah, you got that all tied into your identity, and then you can take that wherever you go, and yeah. And folks will know what they have access to through you as well, and through to the commons. Was that part of it as well?
Yeah.
I can definitely like create, or we can just use like owl.link like or at least like a similar implementation. If you guys know that this, this implementation is like trying to have a simple landing page for people like with their own profiles. Freaker actually created that or worked on that project. I can even show you guys. It's super simple. This is here it is. This is my owl link. I guess it has like a few links, like a few of my projects, and like my GitHub, and like a small description and name, so on. And this is like eternal, and I think it costs like 10 STX. So I don't know if that's like something that would interest you, or would answer that question of mapping.
I think it just takes some brainstorming sessions and some different ideas of visualization on the table, and we just discuss and banter some ideas around. But yeah, I mean, if that was on the map of that Figma, something like that. So this page, but like I'm imagining like scale down on this, and it's placed on Figma, that one that Harold used to use. But the information would be more tailored to the questions we want to ask. Say, what do I would like to do what? Um, maybe I'm good at what? I don't know. But yeah, it takes some thinking to nail the details, I think.
Yeah, we don't have to use like owl link per se. The implementation that we're speaking about might require like predefined and easy to edit like categories that people can choose. So you can like use that data in that people can change, of course, their interests, that kind of thing. But I think, I agree that this would definitely require some brainstorming. So I'm with you there.
Harold, are we talking about the things that you're actually thinking of talking about, mapping, or have we gone off rail?
No, it's always everything is everything, right? Yeah, I like the discussion. I like the L-Link integration too, if it's possible. But I see what you just spoke to, Haas, in terms of a little bit more flexibility that might be needed. And to your point, Hero may just be something it takes a little bit more sense making, maybe some asynchronous sense making to figure it out. In addition to some more of these sessions. But it's exciting to be able to build some of those things into the flows of advocates a little bit more seamlessly than what the Figma doc was attempting to do, right? But it still required a lot of polishing, and so this can ultimately be that polishing. So it's exciting to hear, and you spoke to morphology a little bit, and I think that's a little bit of a separate, or at least there's some distinction in what you guys are speaking to, which is more focused on the upskilling and the tracking of that, and some clear flows in that. So yeah, this is exciting stuff. I think Oz is good at surprising us with what's in his mind's eye when it comes to these things, and I know he's listening carefully to what you're speaking to, Hero, and all the different angles that we can play on this one. So I think it's spot on. I originally I just saw Code of Conduct talk, but I understand how it lends to these other important discussions as well. And no worries if it's not too specific to Code of Conduct stuff, because while we're all here, it's important stuff to speak to real time, and especially for folks who haven't heard us speak to it before. It catches folks up, so you won't hear any calls from me. But yeah, thank you kindly. Hero and Haas getting down on that. Merrick. Yeah.
Okay, so maybe our code of conduct could be in there somewhere. I'm tying back to code of conduct now. Is there any constitution, like maybe people seeing the mapping or seeing the commons visually and seeing all the human resources? Is there a way to tie some of the code of conduct into that map?
I don't know. It can all be a part of some outward-facing things, I'd imagine, and the code of conduct can be lumped in there somewhere. But I don't know. It sounds like a pretty specific discussion around streamlining, making seamless as possible paths to upskilling, paths to accessibility, and it would be a good place to have a code of conduct, right? In terms of, this is a place where folks are presumably about to get active into a system design, so understanding some of the important concepts and collective thoughts around a given system could be important. So yeah, it's how you guys feel. It's also easy to get convoluted, right? So yeah, it's really how it all appeals to user experience too.
Just give me a signal. Just tell me, and I'll do it. Like if you want something like an NFT project that also stores people's interests or whatever, and we can have this grid or network. If that's what you see helping, just let me know.
Yeah, that sounds beautiful, man. What folks were speaking to earlier, it really does feel like a better iteration of what some of the important things that we're trying to get addressed in that Figma document, right? Where that inventory of intrinsic motivation, skills, hidden capital, all that stuff, it's nice to see next to what folks are doing, right? And maybe like you guys are speaking to, gives folks a good idea of who and when to reach out and to collaborate or to contribute in a particular area.
So I'm imagining that Figma thing, but with the journey in there. Is that like something like that?
It's just all these things organically merging together, right? To some of the points of the House was speaking to, how this can lead up to journeys.
Yes, definitely.
As well. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And sometimes you can't see this coming. Yeah.
I don't know how we're gonna do it, but it's an interesting topic to explore.
Hell yeah. Yeah. Well, then that's the word, by the way, Haas, too. If you didn't catch it, that was us giving you the word. Because it sounds exciting. It sounds exciting, right? But yeah.
Which word?
Well, he was saying, if we do want to achieve something like that, just give him the
Oh,
word.
okay.
That was the word. Bird.
Yeah, the bird is a word, Harold, of course.
And, and
As the
Harold, I
saying
know
goes.
you wanted some. I know you were looking at other stuff, also discussing about project management stuff, right? I mean, this could be part of it, like, right?
Yeah, I mean, I have no idea exactly how yet, but because I think a lot of their stuff is still, in design phase, really. But to what Hero is speaking to, folks who don't know, the folks in this DADA working group, or a group of fine artists, have their own platform trying to think seriously about system design as it relates to the efforts of fine artists, alleviating them from the conventional struggles of fine artists and industry standards and such. And they've been thinking real seriously about intrinsic versus extrinsic motivations. That's where we get a lot of our language. They work right alongside Primavera de Filippi, who inspires a lot of that language directly too. And as of late, they've been pushing back much conviction around conventional project management tooling, conventional project management structures in general, and trying to find a means of a user experience and user interface that speaks a little bit closer to the way that their sense-making sessions go, and the way that their flows go when they get things done when it comes to setting up events or setting up different projects in their realm of their platform as relates to fine art, NFTs, things like this, and they're thinking seriously about visualizations of their own project management flows. And some of the language that Hero has used around why this can become useful is that it allows for not just the depictions of the work that needs to getting done, but it also can refer to the skills exchange, the impacts that we had on one another. One of the things that comes to mind when we were having this discussion, it was around the time of the Bitcoin Pizza Day in Brazil. Haas and Aku were and I'm sure a whole lot of other folks ensuring was getting off the ground and up and running. And Aku was relating how grateful he was for the experience, but also, you can feel, right, the amount of confidence, and maybe even spoken to the amount of confidence that it gave him, not just in having more than just a surface level community, but like a supportive community, but also the confidence that comes from establishing such a well coordinated and amazing event, right, in terms of scale and substance. And so depicting the confidence exchange, depicting the upskilling exchange that may not have been realized before, right, along with the actual goings on of that event, would be what's possible in project management tooling of the kind that the folks at DADA are thinking about, or the way that we were thinking about it, at least. And so, of course, this lends itself to some of the points of accessibility that we were speaking to here, points of visibility. But most importantly, it speaks to making visible, regenerative, abundant commons that go on and flow between us all. And so, maybe in addition to some of the things that Haas and Hero folks are speaking to in this session, tooling of this kind in the works in collaboration with DADA can be of help to us too, and give us even more granular understanding of our own commons, even beyond just upskilling in the conventional sense, but including all different types of usually invisible exchanges, flows of exchanges. So yeah, sorry for the. Usually I want to do a debriefing whenever the data is brought up, or some of where we are and some of the working group there. Not to overwhelm folks, but to just bring some context to what Hero is bringing up and how exactly it's relevant. And hopefully it makes sense. And in the context of NFTs, maybe it's as simple as making reference to those NFTs in those visualizations somehow, some way that makes sense. I'm not sure, but yeah, it does sound like all of these things are merging quite quickly. To your point, Hero. But yeah, hopefully that wasn't too much of a mouthful for everybody to earful. I appreciate you guys being here as always. I know we've been here for quite some time. I'll leave the floor open to see if there's any lingering questions, comments, points of clarity before we get out of here. But yeah, been beautiful as always. Hopefully, how productive for you guys as it is for me.
It's good to hear. I'm glad it's productive for you. I do got to pivot to another contract, or a contract, I should say. It's really good to reconnect, and I really like what I'm hearing. There's something pretty juicy starting to emerge. It's pretty sweet, and I'm happy to guinea pig anything. And I might start monkey wrenching with some shit too. I don't know. We'll see. Juliet, I think I want to reach out to you here soon.
Oh yeah, beautiful, man. Thank you kindly for your time as always. Beautiful to hear your voice again, man. And yeah, have a beautiful day, man. But yeah, thank you kindly, y'all. Yeah, if there's any other comments, questions. I guess what I'll do as an action item is include some of the things you spoke to here as possible additions and run it by you guys asynchronously. I appreciate Juliet taking all this time out to listen to us all and consider the additions and the making up of this particular issue proposal. And yeah, I'll get back to you guys asynchronously on things added from these dialogues, just like we've done with the other issues. They've pretty much all been built out and added to quite a bit from these discussions. It's been nice and beautiful. All right, and Doug, I said the same thing to you yesterday, but today for sure. Haas, I don't know, maybe you want to help me coordinate some of these things. I think we could just get the availability of Doc and Nat, who I know were interested in some of this outward-facing stuff. Already spent some time on it, and we can see if we can get something coordinated this week or next. But keep a lookout for this. I know it's important for us to get done this week, at least in coordination-wise. But
what thing? I'm sorry.
So outward-facing content. I think we spoke briefly with Jerry about it, and I mentioned.
Yeah. I created a let us meet, and I'm just like waiting. This is gonna be like next week. I'm waiting on Jenny's response to because this would all depend on her attendance. So I'm waiting for her response, and then I'll share the link with everybody, and I'll have like a PSA and an open discussion soon.
Okay, beautiful. All right.
This is for like the conversation around like scaling advocates, right?
Yeah, scaling advocates. I think a lot of that too will have outward-facing content involved with it as well. To be able to do that, right, is a big point of Jenny's, like having some accessible places for folks to actually know what's going on in advocates and where a lot of what we spoke to today.
The conversation I think also like mentioned like having this like meeting with like people from the welcome team, especially, and yeah, I'll make it open. I might connect with you on like the wording of the PSA, but yeah, I'm getting that in the works. Yeah, we should have a meeting like that next week.
All right, beautiful. Okay, y'all. All right.
Awesome.
All right, y'all. Have a beautiful rest of the day. Yeah, I think we missed the opening and closing today too, Merrick. I know you came late, but you didn't miss the opening. We kind of just flowed into it as we tend to do. But yeah.
That's all good. Sometimes they just roll like that. Beautiful. Thank you.
All right, y'all.
Thank you all.
All right. Have a good one.
I appreciate you guys trying to break everything down.
No, it's been beautiful. It's been good to do these things. Yeah. All right.
All right.
Thank you, guys.
See ya.
See ya.
Yeah, thank you. Bye.